Hi, I'm Psiman and welcome back to another vlog, the 26th vlog I've made in fact, and since the last one this has been my longest hiatus away from this YouTube channel, a ridiculous amount of time, nearly 2 years, just shy, 1 week shy of 2 years. I know I've had breaks before where I've taken a few months off, but to be quite honest, 2 years is a bit ridiculous, and there have been times over the last couple of years where I've sat down, started making a video, and for some reason I've hated it, deleted it, lost interest in making YouTube videos, wanted to try again, there've been other problems, and so... But I'm back again. I'm back, I'm making videos, I'm planning to make videos for the next, definitely for the next few months. I've got a few ideas about things that I want to put up, but it's really, I really feel invigorated and want to get back in contact with a lot of you guys. I mean, I know I have watched some of your videos over the last couple of years and I have left some comments, but I haven't been as engaged with the YouTube gaming community as I was before. I'm not saying that I had a prominent place within that community and my channel's got a tiny little subscribership, but I think first thing I'd like to just thank the new subscribers to this channel. I mean what will have seemed to them essentially like a dead channel, no activity for 2 years, people have still subscribed, and I've had in that 2-year period 15 new subscribers. So if any of you new to this channel are watching now, thank you very much for subscribing, thanks for coming along, and I hope you're going to find something on here now that you find of interest and worthy of your subscription. But also thank you to those of you who are still subscribed, because I know what it's like. People get rid of subscriptions from their subscription list. I know I have done quite a few times, gone through and culled loads of channels that I'm subscribed to because I just don't watch their content, or there isn't any new content being made. So thank you, those of you that are still subscribed, and hopefully you'll find some new videos that are of interest to you too. Now obviously I'm going to be talking a bit today about what's been going on in those last 2 years, where I've been, what I've been doing, obviously what gaming I've been doing, but you know, what has happened in my life in those 2 years. Then I'm going to talk a little bit more about some of the games that I've played, some sort of highlights in my opinion over those last 2 years, but I will save sort of in-depth talk about any games or game systems for subsequent videos that will be coming out shortly. So to that question of where have I been, because the last time I spoke to you I was in my kitchen and living in the UK in the town of Christchurch in Dorset. So for those of you that don't know the UK, it's one of the southern coastal towns down there close to Bournemouth, basically right next door to Bournemouth. Lovely little place, absolutely loved living there, but things transpired that meant my wife and I couldn't really stay there. You might remember, those of you who've been subscribed for a long time, that when I first started making videos I was living in Bournemouth. Then I went and lived in China for a couple of years in the city of Chengdu. And then came back to the UK, and you know, my wife and I both had the idea of kind of settling down in the UK, trying to save some money for a deposit for a house, and just try to make a living there. But well, actually, before any of that happened, you might also remember, I've got no idea, but possibly you remember that we were planning to go to Oman. It was sort of the next stop we were going to after China. We were going to spend a couple of years or more in the city of Muscat, where it was our plan to live for 2 to 4 years and continue to save up a large deposit for a home back eventually when we moved back to the UK. And 2 weeks before, well, it's not 2 weeks, sorry, 2 days before we left Chengdu, we got news from the university over there that it seemed more than likely that our visas weren't going to get approved because of a change in the administration, or the way the visas are administrated, and the sort of criteria that's required to get your work visa had changed at the Ministry of Education over there, and they'd already had one highly qualified teacher who got rejected because his degree was in archaeology and he's teaching English as a foreign language, even though he had postgraduate qualifications in teaching English. So yeah, seems ridiculous, but that's the rules that they're going by. So my wife and I thought, and not just us, and the guy running the English, the head of English over there at the university, thought that you're probably going to get rejected as well. So he said to us, look for other work, because I don't want you to hold on and wait and then lose out on job opportunities coming up for the new term starting in September. So at that point, we looked at our options. Luckily, the the college my wife was working for from the UK, but working in China, setting up an English program out there, said, well, come back to the UK and teach at our college. And so we thought, well, that's great. It's close to Bournemouth, where we used to live. So we moved to Christchurch, and things seemed happy at first, but problem was my wife didn't really enjoy the job very much, but she thought, oh, I'll stick at it for a while, I'll just do it for a couple of years. And in the meantime, I decided to get more teaching, a higher level teaching qualification, so I was on the same sort of level of qualifications as my wife, and so therefore more jobs would be available to me. And so I signed up for what's called a DELTA, Diploma for English Language Teaching to Adults, and that started in September. So it began in, I think, around about the middle of September. And then a week later, we got contacted by this university to say, we're totally shocked, but we've now got approval for you to come and teach at our university. Your visas have been approved. So we realised, well, there's nothing we can do about it now. She's taken this job. I've just paid out £3,000 or more to do this teaching qualification. So we stuck with it. We decided, okay, we're going to stay and live in Christchurch. And that's the last time I spoke to you. I was sorting out my video game collection. I was clearing out all of the stuff that I felt was non-essential for me. And you guys helped with that by suggesting, sorting the things out into 3 piles, the things you just can't give up, the things you've got no real attachment to, and then everything else, and sorting through those. And so that's what happened. Loads of games were either sold very cheaply by selling them on Ziffit and Music Magpie. Some of the good ones were put on eBay and made a little bit of money from those. And quite a lot of them, I just took them and gave them to charity shops because, well, that's where they came from, most of them, so I didn't feel that bad about giving them up. At least someone else who might like those games is going to get some use out of them and get them at a reasonably cheap price as well. So I felt much better about my games collection. It was a lot leaner, a lot lighter, mostly containing games that I either hadn't played and wanted to, or games that I'd really enjoyed and wanted to keep hold of. And of course some titles that I've had from back when I was a young kid, and I just can't bear to part with those. So I was very happy. Things seemed to be going well. I passed my qualification. I was ready to start looking for work, and then our landlady, who had previously said she really wanted long-term tenants, decided that she wanted to sell the little house that we were living in. And was so frustrating. What I think the main reason for it was that when we got someone in to come and replace the front door, because it was ridiculously thin, rotten wooden front door with a door handle and lock on it that was similar to what you might find on an internal, like, bathroom or bedroom door. That was the main door to the house. So we'd asked them to replace it, put a decent door, solid door, and a good lock on it, which they did. But when the guy was doing that, he pulled up the carpets and found there was rot underneath with the floorboards, and realised they're going to have to basically rip up the whole ground floor of the house. And I think that's why the landlady decided, well, why not sell? Prices are high, and that's exactly what she did. So we were given our notice, and we moved out around Christmas time, and back to our hometown in Stevenage, and moved in with my parents for a few months, where we thought, okay, well, change of plan. Let's work in Cambridge, because it's a pretty good city if you're doing the job that we both do of EFL teachers. There are a lot of schools there. And so we started looking for work, started looking for places to live. We were going to move to St Neots, which is a lovely little town in Cambridgeshire. And we were almost ready to make the move and start work, and we just looked at how much it costs to live there, how much the salaries are, figured out how much we would have left to actually save, and then decided, nah, it's not going to be enough. We are going to be saving for years and years before we can even get a deposit. So we thought, well, option is to go away again. So we started looking at other places around the Middle East. We even thought about Saudi Arabia briefly for a minute, but then decided, no, that wasn't for us. We looked at Qatar, the city Doha in Qatar. Didn't really like the idea of that, even though we applied for jobs there, and we settled on where we are now. And it's probably a place that you won't have heard of. I'm sure you've heard of Dubai. Well, it isn't there. But it is pretty close. We're in the United Arab Emirates, and we live in a smaller city called Sharjah. In fact, it's the emirate right next to Dubai. And if there's no traffic, which isn't often, you can get from where we live to the tallest building in the world, the Burj Khalifa, in about 25 minutes. And on a good day, when it's not too hazy, if we walk down to the main road and just look down the road, you can see the tower. So it's a nice place to live. We're both really happy here. We've been here since about May 2015, so more than a year and a half, and it has just flown by so quickly. It's crazy to think that a year and a half has passed already. We've already lived in 2 different places. We were originally in a flat or an apartment right opposite the school where we work. Unfortunately, it was right next to a construction site where, in fact, when we moved in, there was no construction going on, and there hadn't been for a long time, apparently. And then a couple of months after we moved in, they started building a small shopping mall next to our tower. And as that shopping mall got higher and higher and higher, the noise got louder and louder, and it drove my wife pretty crazy, because they would, start really early in the morning, they would pour concrete in the middle of the night, and so she's quite a light sleeper. Me, I could probably sleep through a nuclear war without really realising what was going on, whereas she, those kind of sounds just wake her up and then grate on her nerves. And so luckily our company were kind enough to say, that's a good enough reason to move. So they moved us to a quieter part of the city, and we now live in a little bungalow, a sort of 3-bedroom, single-storey dwelling. And it's nice, it's quiet. We've got a little garden so the cats can go out and play. And we're really enjoying life here. It's a really nice country. It's a very calm, relaxed, safe place. I actually feel much safer here than I do in the UK, which might surprise some of you, because some people think, oh, the Middle East is a dangerous place, but not here. It's a great place to live. We're very happy. I think we're going to live here for, I would be surprised if we stay less than 3 years, but we'll probably stay longer. Yeah, things are good. So that's me, that's where I am, and that's part of the reason why I haven't made videos, because I've kind of been going through changes, moving from place to place, and and like I said, in the first flat that we lived in, it was very noisy, and the room where I had my games room set up was right next to the construction site, so it wasn't, yeah, there was always clanging and banging going on, which would have been rubbish for making videos. And then moving here, it has been hot. Like, it's winter now, and it's cooled down a bit. It's in the sort of high 20s, low 30s sort of temperature, which is beautiful, perfect for, well, if you like warm weather, like my wife and I do. But in the summertime, it's in the 40s, can get above 50 degrees, and in this little place, which is essentially a shed, really, it gets really hot. And it's warm in here today because I haven't got the air conditioning on because it's too noisy. But I tried making a video in the summer, and it was unbearable. Within 10 minutes, I was just covered in sweat. So of course, can't really be putting stuff like that up on YouTube. Does not look nice. So it's kind of got to the winter time now. It's a bit cooler. I can comfortably make videos without the AC on, or at least for a while. And so I'm going to try and make a few videos over the next few weeks, next couple of months, that I want to put up on YouTube. I'm not sure what I'm going to do after that, once it gets around April, May time, and things start getting warm again for the summer, until sort of October and November, when it starts cooling down again. So I'll try to figure something out to continue making videos. Maybe there'll have to be videos where I'm not sitting in front of the camera talking, because I'm just going to look like a red-faced, sweaty mess, which is not attractive. What's that? Oh, who's this? A new addition to the family. This is our little grey bee. Her name's Bella, and yeah, we adopted her. When did we get you? We got you in the summer. Our other cat, Psiman, went to the cattery for a week when we went on holiday to Sri Lanka. And when we went to have a look, didn't we? We went to have a look at the cattery, and there they've got a place for cats that are up for adoption that people have just sort of left. Oh, you want to get down, don't you? Yeah? Okay. Whoop. There you go. And she was there. She was a lot smaller back then, and we both kind of fell in love with her. I've always wanted a grey cat, and I didn't realise she was. I didn't realise she was quite as fluffy as she was. I think they must have shaved her when they had her in the cattery, and she looked more like, if you know your cat, a British Blue, because she's actually, well, apparently, a British Blue Persian cross, and she looked a lot more like a British Blue. And then, after living here for a while, her coat's grown, and now she looks more like a Persian. But she's an adorable, sweet little cat, and her and Psiman, although they weren't really friends at first, they now get on quite well, and they only bicker occasionally. So yeah, a nice little addition to our family. Okay, well, enough about me and where I am, all that kind of stuff that you might find a bit boring. Let's get on to talking about games. So Coming here, obviously, I couldn't really bring all of my games collection with me, so the vast majority of it is back in the UK in a storage unit. But what I did bring with me was the PlayStation 4 and the Mac Pro. So I could do, at least do a bit of gaming. At the time, my PS4 was relatively new, so I was still very excited about what was coming, the sort of new games that would be coming out for that. And keeping the Mac Pro was okay for doing a bit of gaming. And what I did do eventually was get an external solid state drive, or at least an internal solid state drive and an enclosure. And then I found a way to run Windows off of that external drive. It should be something that you'd think would be easy to do, but it takes a bit of messing around. There are some good videos on YouTube if you're ever interested in doing that. And it worked fine. And I started getting into PC gaming and really enjoying it. And the idea was really to stress test the Mac Pro to see if it was just about powerful enough to run virtual reality. That was my hope. Unfortunately, it was running the Steam VR tests. It proved that it was far too weak for any of that. So, I've had to invest in a bit of PC gaming since then. And also, you might have noticed this big shiny lump behind me because I've managed to pick up a new television since being here. I can't remember last time. Oh yeah, last time I saw you, I was borrowing a 30 or 40-inch plasma off somebody. But yeah, this is the first TV I've actually bought since the 50-inch Panasonic plasma that I had back in the UK, which I really, really liked. And is now with a family member. I sold it to my niece and her husband. But this is, I'm not quite sure what the number is. I think it's called a KS9000. It's made by Samsung, I know that much. It's 4K and it's HDR compatible. It's 65 inches in diameter from corner to corner. And it has a curved screen. Not really selling it, am I? But it is a really nice television. I'm very happy with it. As far as I don't really like LCD technology that much, but I couldn't buy a plasma television. I couldn't afford a 4K OLED screen. So this was the best option that was in my price range. At the time, 4K OLEDs were more than twice the price. Now they're still at least 50% more expensive than I paid for this. Managed to get a good deal on it because it was bought in, it was called the GITEX sale. Every year over here they have a big exhibition called GITEX, and at the same time all of the electronic stores run special deals. And from what I understand, pretty much the same deals you can get from going to the electronic shows anyway. So I managed to get this screen with a sound bar thrown in for free for the same price as it would have cost me to buy the 55-inch version, which is what I was originally considering buying. So it was about £2,200 for the deal, including installation. And at that time, this was a year ago, I think, when I bought this. It was, a very, very good deal. And I'm still really happy with the television. It's great for watching movies. I mean, we sit probably 3 meters away from it normally. If I'm doing a bit of gaming or I want that really cinematic experience, I'll drag the couch forward or use the armchair right in front of the television. And yeah, I've had some very good experiences with it. I've tried a bit of 4K gaming using a PC, which is really nice if you're close enough to it. I actually tested with the game what was it, Rayman Origins. I mean, I know it's not exactly a high fidelity title, but in 4K, sitting a couple of meters away from the screen, there was a noticeable difference in the way the characters would seem almost like they were real little, not plastic, but like little real cartoon cutouts animated and running around the screen. It's weird, it's difficult to describe with that level of fidelity. When games get it right, it can look really good 4K. But then I tried other things. I tried the Transformers Devastation, which is quite a good game, but the difference between 4K and 1080p wasn't really that noticeable and much to write home about. So as far as I've experienced so far, the whole 4K thing can be a little bit of a mixed bag. Another title I tried on it was No Man's Sky, and again in 4K I was really hoping that would look spectacular, and it didn't really look much different to the 1080p version that I ran before and after to see if I could tell the difference. But I didn't buy it for the fact that it was 4K. I bought it because it was the nicest television in that price range, and the annoying thing is, I guess, if you wanted to buy a 1080p TV, is all of the best internals, the best processing, are all in the higher end sets, and all of those are 4K. So I guess in a way it's future-proofed in that 4K Blu-rays, I guess, will become more prominent than they are today. I've got a 4K Blu-ray player, which, well, I'll talk about that in a second. But also the TV's HDR compatible, although it's an evolving format, and I think televisions in 2 to 3 years' time are going to look even more spectacular where HDR is concerned. But you can notice a difference on this television, but I've heard the 2016 version of this television is phenomenal. Okay, well, on to the Blu-ray player. It's the Xbox One S. I picked up the 1 terabyte edition. I was going to get a 500 gigabyte, but I thought, just in case I do want to play some games on it, it's probably better to have a bit of space, especially as the games that I'm probably most interested in using are my existing Xbox 360 collection, and for those each game has to be installed onto the hard drive, so I thought it made a bit of sense to get the larger version. I'm quite happy with it as a 4K Blu-ray player. It's pretty good, and the price was quite reasonable considering if I'd have bought a standalone Samsung 4K Blu-ray player, it would have been about the same price, whereas with this I get to play Xbox One games and Xbox 360 games. Okay, well, I thought I'd just spend a bit of time now talking about some of the games that I've played, some games that I've bought since arriving here in the UAE, so things that I've picked up and played in the last 18 months. And I think the first one that I should talk about is actually not the one that's on the top of my pile, but the first PS4 game I bought here, something I was very excited to play, and that is Arkham Knight. Yeah, this lovely game. Well, at least I thought it was going to be great before I bought it. I don't know really what to say. Got very mixed feelings on this game. Some of it I really loved. The story I thought was fantastic. Obviously, taking the the Dark Knight, the Arkham series onto the next generation of consoles. That sort of graphical upgrade was really good. But then some of the gameplay I didn't particularly enjoy, especially the bits with the bat tank, or, well, I can hardly call it a Batmobile, with guns and machine guns and rocket launchers and things on it. Or at least that doesn't seem like the Batmobile to me. I know in the Batman movies he's had guns and things on there, but I don't know, it just didn't seem to fit with the ethos of Batman and his fixation with preserving life. It didn't sit right for me. And the actual gameplay itself, driving around in that tank thing, no. I would have been much happier if it didn't have that. Also, the really vast expanse of it as well. I think still going back and playing Arkham, the first one, Arkham Asylum, and just recently on Steam I got Arkham Origins, and I've just started playing through that as well. And I quite like it. It's very similar to the others, which is not such a bad thing, but yeah, I'm enjoying that. There was a lot I liked about this, but there was surprisingly I was a bit surprised that there were bits I didn't like about it. But all in all, it's worth getting unless you are a PC owner, because I hear the PC version is terrible. But the technical aspects of this game is fantastic, very, very well made for a PS4 game. So I'm happy to have got it, happy to have played through it. I'm sure I will play through it again at some point, but will probably not want to do all of those bits where you have to drive and blow up tanks and helicopters and things like that. Another game I picked up a bit later in the year, but a series of games that I do enjoy, and that's the NBA 2K series. I wouldn't say I'm a fan of basketball, but I think it's my favourite team sport. And what I was really hoping for from this was a kind of, what would you call it? The single player experience, the sports RPG. For some reason I thought it was going to be great because Spike Lee was directing it, but in a way I think that might have been the problem, that it was too much like a movie. I didn't feel there was really much of an interactive experience. The acting was great, the storytelling was very good, it was really quite moving in places, but it wasn't what I was looking for, and that was the main reason that I bought it. I mean, it is a great basketball sports simulation game, but I was hoping for a game where you can craft your own style of basketball player and then take them on a journey to fulfill their dreams. And it was very much, it didn't matter how you created your player, what they looked like, or what their attributes were like, what style of player they were, it was always the same character. And that really annoyed me. I don't think it's going to come anytime soon, but I'm hoping for that and the football versions. Although I suppose in the football games, maybe it's not needed to quite the same extent. When you think about basketball, you can have someone who's, you can technically as small as 5'3", a little point guard or shooting guard, up to someone who's 7'5" or 6" or whatever. Some of the tallest players are 7'8". I think the tallest one's been in the NBA. Massive differences in size, so the way the characters interact with each other has to be quite different. The way that they play the game is vastly different. So yeah, I'm hoping that gets incorporated into a future version. Now, when it came round to September and it was my birthday, one of the guys I work with, who's surprising for me, is really into gaming, because I'm used to a lot of colleagues not really being that interested in video games, but he seems to like, well, no, he does like video games as much as I do. Maybe not so interested in the retro aspects as I am, although I know he does like a bit of retro gaming. But he's very much into sort of contemporary gaming. And he bought a game for me for the PS4 that he picked up. Was I think one of the first games in the first batch of games that he bought when he bought his PS4. It was actually because of seeing my PS4, and I kind of encouraged him to get one, that he pick one up. But the game that he got for me was this one, Destiny. And it was a game that I had considered buying, and I think if I'd have paid more attention to it and known what the story was, I definitely would have got this game, because it's right up my street. The story, the single player element to it, really good. And this is one of the games that on the large screen TV over there looks fantastic, and especially because it's the TV is particularly good at displaying a wide gamut of colour. The colours they're beautiful in this game. The graphics, the scenery, I don't know what you'd call it, set direction if it was in a movie, but the way the levels tell a story through all of the little intricate details and the design of the levels. Brilliantly done in this game. And if you like Halo, I'm personally not a particularly big Halo fan, but this feels very similar to Halo in the way that it plays. Really good game. And the only reason I stopped playing this game after a couple of months is because the connection to the servers was really bad here, and I couldn't enjoy the experience because I kept getting dropped from servers. I do want to get back into it again, but I don't know. I think I might get the PC edition and play that one. So that's only 3 PS4 games. I have played others over the time, but those are the ones I definitely enjoyed the most. But I think that the PS4 I've moved away from a bit now. One of the reasons is because I have broken it twice. Seems ridiculous, but the first time was before we even moved into our flat. We were staying in a hotel for about a month, and every time I went out, I put the PS4 in the safe. I don't know why I was being so paranoid, but it fit in the room safe, so I put it in there. And one day I went back in to pick up my keys because they'd been left. Pick up my keys? No, it wasn't my keys, but pick up something from the room that was in the safe. And I was kind of rushing, and I took the PS4 out, I put it on the bed behind me, and then heard ka-dum. The thing had slid off the bed. Obviously hadn't put it on the bed enough, and just smacked on the floor. And it kind of worked a bit for the next couple of days, but I think it was like the power supply was cutting out. Something was wrong with it. Luckily, there's a local market that did video game repairs, so I took it there, got it repaired. Everything worked for a while, and then I was playing. I've just realised there's another game I've been playing a lot on the PS4, because it was the game that was in the drive when it broke the second time, and I haven't got it here. I don't know where it is. Anyway. I'll get back to the story, then I'll tell you about the game. But I had the game on my, had the PlayStation set in a vertical stand on the side of my desk. And I'd forgotten that the pad was charging and connected to the PlayStation. And I was playing this game and played particularly badly one round. And just, sometimes you're like, oh, why did I do that? I kind of did that with the controller, and it pulled the PlayStation over just a little bit, and then the little USB connector unplugged itself. And sometimes you can see things almost like they're in slow motion. It rocked back the other way and fell off the desk, and it was just far enough away that I couldn't reach it, and the thing fell on the floor, and that time it just didn't work at all. And I was just a bit annoyed that I just, I didn't take it to get repaired until a few months later. But that game that was in the drive was Star Wars Battlefront, and I'm shocked that I didn't remember that the game was not in my pile of games that I've got in the spare room. I think I must have taken it back and left it in the UK when I went back in the summer, because I took some of the games that I wasn't playing and thought, well, I'll just put them in the storage unit with all of my other games because I'm not going to play them again. But that, that's actually not the case, because I am playing Star Wars Battlefront again, but I'm now playing it on the PC because it's actually part of the EA, that's the PS4 version, the Origin Access, which is EA Access on PS4. And it's recently been added, I think a couple of weeks ago, maybe a bit longer than that, has been added to the list of 20 or so games that are available on that. I mean, it's a good service. It's like Netflix for games in a way. You pay €3.99. That's probably £3.99 or $3.99. I don't know what it is in other regions, but for some reason it charged me in euros. But yeah, it's very good value for money if the games on there are ones you want to play. And for me, that's Battlefield 4, which again I did have on, I've still got on the PS4, and I played a lot of it. So I've been playing a bit of that on PC, still really enjoy it, still rubbish at it, but have great fun. And now I'm playing Star Wars Battlefront on the PC. And it's it's the same game, and in fact, playing it on the PC at ultra settings shows you actually how good the PS4 version is, because it looks remarkably close to the PC looking its best. And I mean that's a good win for PS4, but as far as the game's concerned, it's the same game, but playing it on keyboard and mouse has taken a bit of getting used to, and man, are the people who play that game on the PC much better than me, because I haven't been top of the table for, I did play a couple of small games where I turned out being the top player, but most of the time I get absolutely destroyed, but I still have a lot of fun playing it. And it's changed quite a bit since I last played it on PS4. There have been a couple new DLC packs that have added new content, new weapons. There have been some other updates to it that are not reliant on having the DLC, like the bounty hunter missions for Jabba the Hutt, that you can unlock a few new things, a bit of tweaking to the way that it plays, and I think generally it's a better game than it was before. So I'm excited to get the DLC packs when they eventually become part of the EA service, which I guess will be 6 to 9 months down the road, like they did with Battlefield 4. All of the DLC packs are part of that on Origin. So really having a lot of fun playing that. But there's one other game I'd got here, and as you can see, it's green. It's for the Xbox One, and when I bought the Xbox One, I got, as I said, the 1 terabyte edition, and that came with FIFA 17, which is quite a good game. I've played a bit of it, but it's not something I would have bought necessarily if I had the option. It was just in the pack, a download. But I did want to buy a game for the Xbox, and this is a game, I wouldn't say it's a game I wanted to buy the Xbox for, because that seems a bit ridiculous, and especially as you can buy it on the PC. But I thought I'd have a game that I wanted to play sitting in front of the TV, and that game is this one. Forza Horizon 3, and I was itching to play this game. I have wanted a good driving game, I say a good driving game, the sort of driving game that I enjoy, to come out since Burnout Paradise Ultimate Box, which I adore that game. That's one of my favourite Xbox 360 games, and I've recently bought it on Steam for the PC, and it's still an absolute blast to play. And I was hoping this would be more of the same, just with nicer graphics. And it is very similar, but I have to admit I haven't enjoyed it as much as Burnout Paradise. I mean, it's got real cars, it's got amazing locations, the graphics look beautiful in places, and I have had a lot of fun playing it, and I think it's definitely worth a purchase. But for me, still not as good as Burnout. It's difficult for me to say exactly why. There's just maybe just some of the craziness of Burnout, the destruction that's involved, that's required to play the game properly. But yeah, great, very happy with that. And I got the 1 terabyte pack and got this game, and I believe it was 1,500 dirhams, which is probably about, now with the exchange rate, about £320, maybe a bit more than that. So I think it's not, the pricing now here is not as good as it was in the UK when the exchange rate was more favourable towards the pound, when it was about 5 point something to the pound. It was better. Now it's about 4.7. Is that right, or is it the other way around? I'm confused. Whatever it is, it's around about 5 to the pound. It was better for British people coming here on holiday before Brexit. Now it's better for me, but the prices I pay here for games and stuff is, I think, now slightly more expensive than it was, than it is in the UK, whereas before it was slightly cheaper here. Okay, so those are some of the games that I've got. I've also picked up a couple more for the Xbox One that I got when I was in the UK before I even bought it, because I knew I was going to get it eventually. I got Sunset Overdrive, which I haven't played a lot of, but was pretty good fun. I picked it up second hand for about £6, I think. Enjoyed that. What I've played of it, I certainly haven't got anywhere near completing it, but an unusual but colourful and fun game. And I picked up Rare Replay as well, which I thought my wife might like, because I thought she might like Banjo-Kazooie and a couple of the other games on it, but she hasn't shown any interest in it. But again, it was only about £5, so I don't really feel like I've lost too much with that. But while I was back in the UK, I did pick up something that I have wanted, or the type of thing I have wanted for a few years now, and that was this little toy. Ah yes, the HTC Vive, and its monstrously ugly thick wire that comes with it, and also a pair of Bose headphones, which I got from duty free at a discounted price. I think it's definitely, if you're going to get one of these, I think it's definitely worth getting a good pair of earbuds that stay in your ears. Yeah, and this I got in the UK. I was planning to get one here, but at the time of buying my PC, this was not available, although it had been released in America and in the UK. I couldn't get one over here for, well, I say I couldn't get one for love nor money. I could get one for an arm and a leg, because some people were selling them on equivalent of eBay type sites, but they were more than £1,000, and I couldn't afford it. So I waited until June or July when I went back home and got it from PC World or Currys or something like that in the UK, and it was £680. I now believe it's gone up to £750. But as expensive as it is, I have to say I am so happy that I bought this. The experience this gives is nothing like playing games on a screen. Even though I'd had a DK2 and used it for a little while with my Mac, but obviously it didn't work very well. Yeah, it's so impressed by what this thing is capable of doing. But I'm not really going to talk about this today because I do want to make a video about this, about VR in general, because I've used this. I haven't used the Oculus, unfortunately. I would like to try it to see what the differences are. But I have played a fair bit of PlayStation VR because my friend who I mentioned has got one of those, and I've played it at his house. He's brought it round here, and I've played it and some other friends have played it. So I'm going to do a proper video about that. But I'll talk a little bit more about this, but let's go into the other room and I can show you where I play on this. Well, this is the games room, or at least it's the place where I play most of my games. I mentioned occasionally I play in the living room, but I've kind of come to an agreement with my wife that I would do most of my gaming in here rather than hogging the nice big TV in there. So I think that's a fair compromise, and it means that I've got this whole room to myself to do things such as play VR. And as you can see, we've got one of the base stations up there. There's another one over there as well. And it's, it's not a massive room, but it gives a play space of about 3 meters by 2.5 or 2.7, something like that. So it's a fairly decent size. In fact, I've moved the room around a bit. I did have a much larger couch. In fact, that one is in the living room. And yeah, the problem with this room is, and the reason why I didn't make the video in here today is, as you can hear, it's so echoey. I could maybe deaden the sound a little bit by putting a mat in here, and I am thinking about doing that. But well, what I normally have is the chair over here if I'm not playing VR. Obviously I sit at the desk and I don't really want a mat or a rug or something. It's difficult to move the rollers around on it. So I think I will, I will make some videos in here, but it will be just, I guess, footage of me playing on the VR, and maybe I'll leave the talking about it to a voiceover. So like I said, I do want to make a video about VR, but I'll be talking about PlayStation VR and the Vive and making a bit of a comparison. But one thing I will say, and I feel really fortunate about this, is having this space to be able to do this and have room scale VR. Because I think with a lot of people, they're not going to have a spare room that they can dedicate to it. If they've got an extra room than their own in their home, often it's for the kids or whatever. Or with a lot of UK homes, I know that if I were living in the UK, if I had a spare room, it would be a small box room. And again, I wouldn't really be able to get the full VR experience, because as much fun as sitting down playing games is, and being able to stand up and interact with things in front of you, it's when you've got that bit of extra freedom to be able to move around in a space whilst wearing the virtual reality gear that it really does come alive. It takes that extra step, and I'm really feel fortunate that I'm able to do that. Having said that, the one downside to room scale VR is the cable, and I've noticed while playing PlayStation that when you're seated or when you're standing up, having the cable, it's not really too much of a bother. But when you're playing games that are constantly requiring you to move and move back, turn around, the cable on the Vive is terrible and it gets knotted up far too quickly. And I haven't tripped over it yet, but I've had the uncomfortable experience of walking on it. So yeah, it's not perfect yet, but there is apparently a wireless solution coming within the next year, so I'm hoping to upgrade to that, as long as it doesn't microwave your brains while doing it. So, well, I think that's really, I've rambled on for far too long, or enough time. I know some of you really like the longer videos, and to be honest, you know, I'm a bit of a witterer. I love to talk. Well, I say that, but in real life, I'm fairly quiet and I don't talk too much when I don't need to. But get me talking about games or movies or horror, conspiracy theories, things like that, I don't shut up, as my wife will attest to. But I think I've said enough for today. Thank you very much for watching this video and for sticking with it for this long. Thank you for coming back and viewing my videos again. Thank you for, if it's your first time watching a new video from me. So thank you for coming to my channel. So I'm planning to get another video or two up in the next couple of weeks. As I said, I'm going to have to borrow my friend's PSVR equipment, and hello to him, you know who you are, for lending it to me. And I suppose I should mention one of the reasons I started making videos now is because he found my channel, and it was my own fault. I asked to borrow his PSVR stuff because I said, oh, I want to make a video about it, and then didn't really think too much about what I'd said. And then, of course, he knew what my gamer tag was, did a search on YouTube and found my channel, and found it quite funny in the process. Because, you know, as much as I enjoy making videos, they're not very good videos, so it is a little bit embarrassing. So I really don't tell anybody I know that I do this. I don't tell any of my friends, although another couple of friends have found my videos. I'm not really sure how they found them. I think it might be something to do with the way Google links your email addresses and stuff like that. I don't know, but they found them. So hello to both of you as well if you're watching this. I doubt you will have bothered watching all the way to the end of this video. I mean, it's dull enough listening to me talk in real life, let alone sit through a video of me doing it. But anyway, I will shut up now and I will leave you to get on with your life. Thank you very much for watching. This is Psiman signing off. Bye bye.